Lebanon County, and I'm here to give an update on the reassessment progress, mainly focused on farms today. I have a handout to pass out. The first one is
Different?
yes.
Okay.
The first one is the agricultural and vacant properties over 10 acres. And those are the ones that I want to focus on today. As you see, just on my map I have here too, the townships shaded in green are the data collection is complete and the data entry is complete. The township in yellow, the collection is complete but the entry isn't. Township shaded, which is Swatara Township, in orange. We're working on data collection there. Actually, we finished that collection this week. So we are all moved into Bethel right now for farm and vacant properties over 10 acres. As you can see, we only have a few townships left. We are over the 50%. We're probably around 60% complete with our data collection. The data entry is a little bit behind that. So that's where we are on the collection process.
Total number of farms?
Right around 2,200. And then the vacant properties over 10 acres is right around 700.
It's a bit of a misnomer. Any parcel that is 10 deeded acres or more in size and non-commercial in nature goes into Dan's team, data collection team, and anything under that threshold goes to my data collection team. So it's not a matter of really classifying them as farms or use. We get into that later. But from a standpoint of who's knocking on the door and who they draw their paycheck from, the ones over 10 acres are handled by assessment office staff directly. The ones under 10 acres are handled by 21st Century Appraisal staff, which is the second map that we just passed. It's Tim Barr. I'm the Chief Technology Officer with 21st Century Appraisal stuff. As we've also passed out, the data collection for properties under 10 acres is also well over 50% and proceeding on schedule. This year, 2011, the primary function of the reassessment is data collection. Gathering information, putting it into the computer system, getting feedback from property owners through mailback forms that were left at the homes and through internet submissions and so on. The appraisers have already started to build what we call neighborhoods, identifying market patterns, so that by the time we get to the end of the year, we'll have a good head start on evaluating what the value of property is as of January 1st, 2012. That's the appraisal date. So sales up through the end of this year, what people pay for real estate is what's going to determine the value of the reassessment values. Now obviously, the value as of the end of this year is somewhere north of what the values were in 1972, the last time the county did a reassessment. Any new construction or changes that have occurred during that 30-plus year span is done in 1972 dollars. So the values, the assessments are going to go up, but the millage rates by state law must be reduced so that the net revenue that the taxing bodies collect is the same. They literally will collect the same money. Now you might pay more, and you might pay the same, and you might pay less, but it has to balance out as part of the reassessment. Now, if you're a farmer or a forester, if you have land devoted to agricultural use or forest land use, you have, because we had a constitutional amendment in 1974, you will have the option of paying taxes on a clean and green value instead of market value. Market value is what it would sell on an open market, no restrictions on its use. Clean and green values are published by the state of Pennsylvania, by the Department of Agriculture, based upon the capability of the farm or forest land to be used for agricultural only purposes. Do not confuse it with farmland preservation. Enrollment in Clean and Green does not in any way restrict what you can do with your property. If you want to sell your property for a mall, or you want to split it up into a housing development, You are still permitted to do that, but you will pay back a rollback tax if you violate the intention of the Clean and Green program. So what's the penalty? Well, the penalty is you pay back what you saved plus 6% simple interest. And that interest actually goes to fund the farmland preservation program. So over time, as farmers, foresters, and even developers who are currently farming land that they intend to develop 5 years from now will sign up for this program. When they develop it, they'll pay back to the municipalities and the taxing county and the school whatever the savings had been. And then the interest on top of that actually goes into this fund for the farmland preservation program and helps encourage actually the purchase of preserved farms and the restrictions on those. Anyone that has a farm that's already preserved absolutely needs to sign up for Clean and Green because they can't develop it anyway. But for those that are just operating farmland or forest land, we encourage you to read the booklet. We have copies of this questionnaire, application, and information, as well as the Understanding Reassessment brochure available at a booth here in the West Hall. There's also a video looping there that explains the whole reassessment process. If you don't want to sit down and watch the 17-minute video here, it's available off of a link from the county's website. And that will give you a lot of detail about the reassessment process in general. A couple more comments about Clean and Green regarding timelines. As Dan said, the reassessment takes effect for taxes in 2013. County and municipal taxes in the beginning of 13, school taxes, July of 2013, is the first time any of this has any effect on someone's taxes. The notices of value go out July 1st of next year. The deadline for signing up for Clean and Green to have it take effect, coincident with the reassessment, is October 15th of next year. So we've got over a year for folks to check this out and sign up for the program. If they don't, they can still sign up later, but they'll pay taxes in 2013 on market value. Now, to help people know the benefits of the program, when the values are mailed next July, on or before next July 1st, we will include on the change of assessment notice the old assessment and what the corresponding taxes are based on that. The new proposed assessment, do you think it's worth this much money? And what the taxes are based on that. And if it's over 10 acres and non-commercial, we will have a potential Clean and Green value and the taxes based on that. Now, I say potential because you must apply, and there's questions that you have to answer that can modify that value a little bit. But I can assure you, having done this for since the mid-'80s, I've been involved in this business a long time. Clean and Green saves money compared to not being in Clean and Green. It's extremely rare that there's ever a case that it doesn't save money, and part of the resolution that the county has adopted to kick off the Clean and Green program ensures that it will never be upside down. If you sign up for Clean and Green, you will there's no risk of it actually paying more. So it's a significant savings compared to what the taxes could be at market values. Questions?
Yes, sir. Is there any practicality in making, when we preserve a farm, part of the contract an automatic sign up for the Clean and Green, so it's not a two-step process?
I would suggest that you could make it part of the process, but legally there's a separate application that would have to be filed and recorded with the Recorder of Deeds office because it's a different law. So they would still need to go through the process, but making it routine as part of the closing, if you will, on that preservation process is something that makes a lot of sense.
But it's their choice.
It's their choice. You
Yeah,
don't.
it's not something that government's gonna
That it would be
dictate to
mandatory.
them. It's their, they don't have to do it. They don't have to do either.
Right. I mean, if the farm is, I look at it this way, I borrowed money from my government at 6% interest for that period of time, because I would have paid it anyway, it's just I've deferred the payment. And if you're developing the property, a lot of times what I've seen happen is buyers and sellers will negotiate that. If I'm selling it to a land developer, part of the deal is I got $40,000 worth of rollback taxes here, you got to cover that. I gotta have enough proceeds from the sale to get me current with the potential rollback taxes. There's all sorts of technical elements of clean and green that affect the value. You can have wireless service facilities, cell tower leases on the property, that's not gonna keep you out. There's oil and gas related things that aren't gonna keep you out. The intent of clean and green, and it's been around since 1974, the intent of clean and green is to encourage farmland and forest land continued use by offering a reduced tax in exchange for an agreement not to develop the ground, not to develop the property. But with a clawback, another is if that agricultural commodity produces $2,000 a year gross income, then you can sign that smaller property up. So if you've got 8 acres with the barns on it and you're raising steer, and you've only got 8 acres, but you're producing more than $2,000 gross income, not net, then that property is also eligible for clean and green.
But if you're not